On the morning of October 25, 1944, in the midst of the Battle of Leyte Gulf, a lone American soldier, Private First Class Leonard E. Johnson, found himself at the forefront of a desperate last stand against an overwhelming Japanese force. With his trusty M1 Garand rifle by his side, Johnson would go on to defy the odds, changing the course of the battle and cementing his place in the annals of military history. As the sun rose over the Philippine island of Leyte, the 1st Battalion, 34th Infantry Regiment, to which Johnson belonged, prepared to face off against a formidable enemy. The Japanese had launched a fierce counterattack, pushing the American lines to the breaking point. It was then that Johnson, a scout from the 101st Airborne Division, volunteered to hold off the enemy advance, buying time for his comrades to regroup and launch a counterattack. With a deep breath, Johnson took up position behind a stack of crates, his M1 Garand at the ready. The Japanese, supported by Type 97 Kaiha tanks, surged forward in waves, but Johnson stood firm, picking off enemy soldiers with precision shots. His rifle, chambered in the powerful .30-06 Springfield cartridge, proved more than a match for the Japanese Type 99 Arisaka rifles. As the battle raged on, Johnson's position became increasingly untenable. Despite being vastly outnumbered, he continued to hold his ground, taking out key enemy targets, including a Japanese machine gun nest that had been pinning down his comrades. The turning point came when Johnson spotted a group of Japanese soldiers attempting to outflank him. With his M1 Garand, he managed to take out the entire group, including a Japanese lieutenant who was coordinating the enemy's attack. The loss of their officer threw the Japanese into disarray, allowing the American forces to launch a successful counterattack. The 1st Battalion, 34th Infantry Regiment, supported by M4 Sherman tanks from the 716th Tank Battalion, pushed forward, reclaiming lost ground and ultimately securing a crucial victory. As the dust settled, Johnson's comrades regrouped, assessing the damage. The Japanese had suffered heavy casualties, with over 1,000 soldiers killed or wounded. Johnson, meanwhile, had emerged unscathed, his M1 Garand still smoking from the intense firefight. His actions that day had single-handedly halted the Japanese advance, paving the way for the Allied victory in the Battle of Leyte Gulf. The bravery and selflessness displayed by Johnson serve as a testament to the enduring spirit of the American soldier. His story, one of courage and determination in the face of overwhelming odds, continues to inspire and awe, a reminder of the pivotal role that individual heroism played in shaping the course of World War II. As we reflect on the events of that fateful day, we are reminded of the power of the human spirit and the enduring legacy of the M1 Garand, a rifle that has become synonymous with American military prowess. The M1 Garand, with its powerful .30-06 Springfield cartridge, proved to be a game-changer on the battlefield, allowing Johnson to take out enemy soldiers with ease. The Type 97 Kaiha tanks, which supported the Japanese infantry, were no match for the M4 Sherman tanks, which provided crucial firepower for the American counterattack. The bravery and sacrifice of soldiers like Johnson will never be forgotten, and their stories will continue to inspire generations to come. The Battle of Leyte Gulf, fought from October 23 to 26, 1944, was a decisive victory for the Allies, marking a turning point in the war in the Pacific. The battle, which involved the 101st Airborne Division, the 1st Battalion, 34th Infantry Regiment, and the 716th Tank Battalion, was a testament to the strength and determination of the American military. The M1 Garand, which played a crucial role in the battle, remains an iconic symbol of American military power, and its legacy continues to endure to this day. As the Allied forces continued to push forward, Johnson's unit was tasked with securing a strategic hill overlooking the town of Palau, a key location that controlled access to the island's interior. The Japanese, however, were determined to hold their ground, and a fierce battle ensued. Johnson, still clutching his trusty M1 Garand, found himself at the forefront of the attack as the Americans attempted to dislodge the enemy from their entrenched positions. The Japanese defenders, supported by heavily fortified bunkers and trenches, put up a tenacious resistance, and the battle quickly became a war of attrition. Johnson, undaunted by the overwhelming odds, continued to fight with reckless abandon, taking out enemy soldiers with precision shots, and providing covering fire for his comrades as they attempted to outflank the Japanese positions. The air was thick with the smell of smoke and sweat as the two opposing forces clashed in a frenzy of gunfire and explosions. Johnson's M1 Garand, now familiar with the rhythm of battle, continued to perform flawlessly, chambering round after round with a smooth, metallic click. As the day wore on, the Japanese lines began to waver, and the Americans sensed victory within their grasp. But just as they were about to deliver the final blow, a Japanese counterattack, supported by a pair of Type 97 Kaiha tanks, threatened to turn the tide of the battle. The American forces, caught off guard, stumbled backward in disarray, as the Japanese tanks, their cannons blazing, cut a swath through the Allied lines. Johnson, realizing the gravity of the situation, sprang into action, sprinting toward the nearest M for Sherman tank, which was still operational, despite having taken a direct hit from a Japanese anti-tank gun. With a burst of adrenaline, Johnson leapt onto the tank's hull and began to direct the gunners' fire as they attempted to take out the Japanese tanks. The tank's cannon, a 75mm M3L40 gun, boomed loudly as it sent shell after shell hurtling toward the enemy positions. The Japanese tanks, however, refused to back down, and a fierce tank battle ensued, with the two opposing forces exchanging blows as the outcome of the battle hung precariously in the balance. Johnson, clinging to the tank's hull, felt the heat from the cannon's muzzle as it fired round after round, the recoil sending shockwaves through the tank's frame. The Japanese tanks, despite being outgunned, continued to fight, their cannons firing wildly as they attempted to take out the American tank. The battle raged on, with neither side giving an inch, as the fate of the island and the war in the Pacific hung in the balance. In the heat of the battle, Johnson made a split-second decision, shouting to the tank's commander to flank the Japanese tanks and take them out from the side. The commander, a grizzled veteran, nodded in agreement, and the tank lurched forward as it executed a daring maneuver, exposing the Japanese tanks to a withering field of fire. The outcome of the battle was far from certain, as the two opposing forces clashed in a frenzy of steel and fire, with Johnson's unit and the fate of the war hanging precariously in the balance. The Japanese tanks, now vulnerable, began to fall, one by one, as the American tank, supported by Johnson's precise gunfire, delivered the final blow. As the Japanese tanks burned, their crews fleeing in panic, the American forces, sensing victory, surged forward, reclaiming the initiative and securing a crucial victory. Johnson, exhausted but exhilarated, leapt from the tank's hull, his M1 Garand still clutched in his hands, as he surveyed the battlefield, littered with the wreckage of war. The battle, though far from over, had reached a turning point, with the Americans gaining the upper hand, and the Japanese forces, reeling from the loss of their tanks, struggling to maintain their grip on the island. As the dust settled, Johnson's comrades regrouped, assessing the damage and tending to the wounded, while Johnson, his eyes scanning the horizon, knew that the war was far from won, and that the road to victory would be long and bloody. The M1 Garand, now a trusted companion, had proven itself, once again, to be a reliable and deadly tool of war, and Johnson, his skills honed in the crucible of battle, was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The battle, though fierce, had been a defining moment in the war, and Johnson's actions had played a crucial role in shaping its outcome as the Allies pushed forward toward the ultimate goal of defeating the Japanese and securing victory in the Pacific.